to call the Columbus City Council meeting to order. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we'll move down to letter B, which is a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
And seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
We need a motion to approve the consent agenda numbers 3 and 5. No?
3 through 5.
Oh, 3 through 5, okay, never mind. Letter C, Planning Commission report. There we go. Moving right along.
Evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
council members, and staff. I was just talking to Chris, and before I give a summary of our meeting on December 18th, there was only 3 of you that weren't there up on the board right here. So I'm going to repeat a lot of stuff that you probably heard, but our meeting was approximately 2 hours long, one of the shortest that I've ever attended. We focused our meetings on 2 areas, first being the Horticulture Services Facility Concept Plan. Ben Gutenet typed up a review of our discussion and our recommendations, and I believe you have a copy of those minutes. They were addressed to you. The entire Planning Commission, following the comp plan and zoning ordinance, concluded that the horticulture services did not meet the requirements of the commercial showroom district area, and that their business was best suited in the light industrial areas. It should be noted that the Nicholsons, the owners of horticulture services, were not in the audience that night because of prior engagement, but the realtor, Sean Courtney of Core Commercial Real Estate, was president and stated that he'd pass on our findings and recommendations to his client. I personally hope that their business does look further into Columbus to place their business in our area, and light industrial would be a great addition to the city. The second portion of our meeting was directed towards land use and zoning workshop. Gene Johnson discussed analyzing potential new zoning districts, mainly for the Freeway District area. We are given some homework regarding that area, and we'll discuss our options at our next meeting on January 15th, 2020. There can't be any questions. Everybody must have that down pat, huh?
Any questions, anyone?
Does the council want to, on a concept plan, we don't normally make motions, it's just a concept and just give feedback. I just realized now I just kind of put it in one thing as far as our report. Do you want all the information for the next meeting and make a formal consensus? Or are you going to take the recommendation of the planning commission? The planning commission unanimously, consensus-wise, indicated that they felt that it didn't meet the land use criteria for the comp plan, and nor did it meet the zoning district currently as far as use. And that was after doing a worksheet and looking through some information that they had presented formally.
Did we get any feedback from the applicant at all?
They weren't at the meeting.
No, I know, but their realtor was there, so I know they were going to give them he was going to give them feedback. I just was curious whether okay. I mean, I'm comfortable with the recommendation of the planning commission.
I'm comfortable. I agree that I would like to see them somewhere in Columbus. They seem like a great company, and I would have liked to
Just not the right
have
place.
them as an addition. It's just not the right place. And very frankly, until we went through that exercise, I would have said, yeah, no problem. But the problem is it doesn't follow the lines that we need it to, so.
I concur. Yeah,
I do too.
Yes.
so
Can I ask a question? Do the concept plans usually follow that protocol?
Concept plans, you don't make any motions and recommendations, it's just really a consensus and feedback. It's really for them to get a good idea of whether they feel their application is going to move forward or whether they're going to have some issues. So it's really is just more of getting feedback. And in so this case, the Realtor was going to, bring back the outcome of your discussion. And in this case, they're not here this evening. So that's why I was asking the council whether we thought we should put it on January 8th. Because normally we would have put it also on the agenda for the council meeting.
Well, I have to agree that those workshop, the way you set that up, where we had to do our own research and dig it really helped out. I think from, like Chris was saying, it really helped us out a lot when we make these decisions. But the concept plan kind of gets you a head start on what's going on instead of coming in and flopping on a PUD or something, or, where do we start?
And I think the extra time too helped. So with the new applications, whether they do a concept, because the concept is optional. And I think with new applications, that extra 2 weeks will be helpful also, because then we will have a chance to talk about land use and other things.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 7, public open forum. Is there anyone here who would like to speak at the public open forum? Number 8, Columbus fee schedule ordinance and published summary. That's in our enclosure.
In your agenda packet, you have a couple of things for materials for the fee ordinance. You have the actual fee ordinance that's been updated, that you had in your packet, and you have another updated one. There's a sewer and water rate sheets that, between the three of us, Jesse, Jim, and myself, will take you through. And then in addition, Lori put together a packet on the senior center. We talked at the last meeting, and we've had some changes with the senior center, and we did not have a fee schedule set up for rentals and/or what we were going to do with that area. And so at first, she had the table, and I said, maybe we should just put in everything, because she did a fair amount of research, and she called other areas, and there were forms, and it seems everyone had a different idea of when rentals could occur. Like one community only has it Monday through Fridays, others allow alcohol, others don't. And so the criteria was kind of all over the place as to what they allow in their community room. What's interesting here is only 2 of them have kitchens. So not everyone has a kitchen either. They might have a refrigerator and a sink, but they don't necessarily have a kitchen. So we thought it was a lot of material to go through, but we wanted to at least give it to all of you so you had an idea to read through it. And I didn't think we were going to come to a conclusion this evening, but again, maybe getting a little bit of a start. We did put a placeholder in the fee schedule for the senior center, understanding that there was the possibility of renting it. But if the council feels that we shouldn't be renting it, then there really wouldn't be a necessity for a fee schedule. We would just be making rules and a rental agreement and criteria for a rental agreement. So I wasn't really sure what everyone's thoughts were and what direction to go to, and whether or not you felt that this is something that the personnel committee should work on, whether it's a council issue and everyone should work on. So this was kind of more of what direction are we going? Right now, there's a placeholder for the senior center on page 2. Because we do feel if we're going to rent, there should be at least a rental fee, a damage deposit. And I actually think there should be some cleaning fees, because right now, we don't have anybody cleaning or a person hired to clean. So there's a few more details we have to work out here.
So then do we vote on this? Is an option to vote on this and then figure out what we're going to do over the next month or so?
And you can adopt the fee schedule and delegate it to the personnel committee, or you can adopt this fee schedule. And then I talked to Jake earlier, and he said you can amend the fee schedule when we finally decide what to do with the senior center.
Because there's quite a range of prices and options in all the
There
handout we
was.
got.
There wasn't, there wasn't like, it would have been real easy if all 5 of them said, oh, this is what we do, but there wasn't a string that I could draw through all of them to say, yeah, that's the direction they went in.
Well, I believe we should adopt it and then work on it. I would happily do it as part of the personnel committee. Or we can do the whole council. Anybody wants to work on it? So what does everybody else think?
If we do rent it out, who's going to be in charge of coming and shut the doors up when parties over?
Well, that's part of what we have to decide.
Yeah. That's just-
And that's why you want to have a substantial or a fair rental price, because somebody's going to have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I did see on my listserv, because I think with new things on the market, there's one or two communities that they have an electronic lock on the door, and it's somehow hooked up to the cloud. And when they have rentals, they program it to open the door, and then it automatically locks after a certain period of time. Oh, so I think there are some things that we could do, because I know the key thing that is, that I don't think that would work regardless.
You know what, the thing is, I don't know that it's been explored exactly what the room can be used for. We keep talking about parties and things that are messy and that sort of thing, but like, for instance, my daughter was part of the 4-H group, and they met in those little buildings over in Carlos Avery, and they weren't charged for it. And I don't know if that's the type of thing you want to do, or, I mean, you know, you're talking about parties, and I'm talking about like community events or things that, small groups in the community that don't want to, like, having to go and, not rent, but reserve a place like at the library to meet and that sort of thing. Is that what we're looking at, or are we only looking for big event type things? I mean,
I
because you
think,
can't charge $75 for people that are gonna, you know, like the 4-H, I mean, they couldn't possibly.
I agree. You know, we really didn't talk about what the criteria and what the rules are. And I noticed that in Hugo, at least in theirs, they have all these you know what I mean, all these rules, and they're not, it's not open on the weekend, and you can only use it for certain hours, and I think there is, because at least a couple of them, they don't charge if you're a local
Like a civic group.
that you don't charge. And I think if you have a policy and bylaws and you set it up, you know what I mean, there will be things that you charge for and others that you won't charge for.
Okay, so are we looking right now just to be able to get it up and running, you say the $75 or whatever, and is that where we're trying to vote on, or?
No, I think right now we don't have any number, but
No
we
number.
have all the other fees. So we can adopt the fee schedule with sort of a placeholder until we get more research done on how we'd like to do the center.
And that's what we basically did. We just put rental fee and damage deposit, because at this point, we didn't really know what the criteria was going to be. And it's a lot to work through when you start to look at what the other communities are doing. I think one of the things with ours is that there you have the kitchen component into it. And I didn't have a chance to talk to the league about insurance and how that would play into what we would have to do if we allowed people to use the kitchen, and how we would have to insure the kitchen.
Yeah, because perhaps it's not even an option. We don't know that we can't use the kitchen or the public. So if somebody leaves a burner on, next thing you know, we need a new city hall for $25 rental. That's kind of a,
I mean, I noticed some of the cities require like liability insurance, and I don't know if that's why. It doesn't look like it's because of the kitchen, because some of them that require it don't have a kitchen, but I mean, I just think there's a number of things that we should look at and that we need to work through. And so I'm okay with just, in fact, I actually wouldn't rent or do anything until we get that all figured out. But we can certainly have it on the schedule as a TBD until we do get it sorted out. And I'm happy to work on it with you or,
So, would someone like to make that motion?
We don't need a motion if we're tabling it till further meeting?
well, I think for the rest of the fees, we need to
Oh,
adopt those.
Elizabeth, could I ask you a question? Did you want the local sewer and water availability charges updated?
So that, at the last, at the last meeting, we talked, Dennis talked about the connection fees. And so there were 4 areas where we were updating the fees. One was the parks, one was the connection charges, one was the actual water and sewer charges, and then the last was the senior center. So, oh, and the other one was Rochelle had done a survey about the building fee and increasing the hourly allotment for connection, or the building department connection charges. And I included her research in the packet. So if we were to approve the 2020 fee schedule, everything in red is all of the changes.
Under public utilities, there's no changes for the LSAC or the WAC. Those are the 2 I was
Oh, she didn't.
asking about.
Yep, I see that. She didn't do that. So it's instead of 456, it's 463? 462?
I don't have that memo with me. I think it was 464, but I'd have to.
Was it? Okay, wait a minute. I thought it was in there.
If,
464, you're right.
What page are we on here?
So-
Page 3,
5.
public utilities.
4,
64.
It would be 464 under the sewer local for the availability charge. And then it would be 1631,
That's what it
and then
was.
it would be, the new one would be 1660, for the new charge. These are connection fees, the 2 charges I'm quoting you. And we've had an escalator every single year since the utility district was established. And we knew we would have an escalator.
Being a 60.
Looking under the public utilities, the Minnesota Department of Health connection fee, that's a brand-new charge, and that was because we became a community water system. We went from 25 connections and above, so we were required to charge that $243 per connection. The $100 and the $75, that was what the building department is recommending for an increase. And then looking at utilities, where we have actually water and sewer charges, we are, as a staff, we're recommending the increase for both water and sewer, for actual water and sewer charges, and that's to the individual and/or business. However, the sewer is a decrease. It was from 770 to 753. And it was an increase of water, and the water was 570 to 610. So the analysis, there's 2 sheets that you have in your place, and it shows the analysis as we have a fair amount of connections from when we last did the sewer and water rate analysis. And so in the sewer department, it helped. But in the water department, we were in deficit for so long. 2019 was the first year we've been out of deficit for water, so that fund is still not cash flowing as it should, because we don't have enough connections. And so we're seeing the increase from 570 per 1,000 gallons to 610, and that is the recommendation in order to cash flow. Because an enterprise fund has to bring in enough money to support the system. So we looked at 2018 expenses, actual, and then projected what the cost should be. Jim, isn't the water and sewer pipe supposed to be 175 too? So the sewer commercial is 100 and the residential is 75?
Permit fees.
For water, but what, weren't they supposed to? And under number 2 on the building department charges, it just talks about water connection. Which is ironically because the sewer was changed and not the water. I would agree. I'm sorry, what was it, that Jake? So what I'm referring to in the memo from Lori, which is in the handout, under bill department changes, it says research was conducted by Rochelle on the surrounding communities for water hookup. And the water hookup permit charges were the only ones that were not changed in the fee schedule.
So what do we need to do then? Is this something we're gonna have to, we have the numbers? They're gonna go in here or not?
So all the red numbers are the changes with the exception of Dennis's numbers that he just indicated to you, so you'll have to change those. And then the water permits where it says commercial pipes and residential pipes, it would have to say 175 versus 75 and 50.
Okay.
And then otherwise, all of the changes are on here, and the placeholder is then, for the senior center, there's a placeholder, and we would just put to be determined, in the fee schedule. Otherwise, you can adopt as is, and if you approve the summary publication, once we get an idea of what we want to do at the senior center, we'll just amend the fee schedule.
And then did you have a change?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the water meter rental?
I believe people were charged.
I thought they were too, because I thought we talked about this one last year,
These are residential houses if,
so this is for, so if there's construction going on and contractor uses water from our system, they get a meter that mounts the fire hydrant, and then that documents the
Okay.
water that they use. I mean,
Okay.
That's a special meter.
all right. All right,
And it's just a deposit, so they get it back if they don't
They get it back when they're
run
done.
over it.
So basically, when they take it out, it's a good working meter. When they bring it back, we make sure it's a good working meter. They get
those are our meters?
They're our meters.
How many do we have?
Started out with one, but with all the projects going on, ended up buying 2 more and then borrowing one from
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the 2020 fee schedule. And we'll talk about the senior center later time, so that'll be held off for now. And with the changes in the water service, noted that Elizabeth said maintenance. City administrator noted changes, and they will be noted in the minutes.
Is there an ordinance number, Jessica?
Oh, yeah. 1907.
Ordinance 1907.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Wait, I have a question.
Oop.
Are you delegating the senior center to the personnel committee as part of your motion?
No, I'm just saying further discussion on it.
So how,
So we'll
who's,
decide.
who's responsible for figuring that out? You're going to do it as a
I
whole
would
council?
volunteer to do it.
Pardon?
I would volunteer to do it, be one person on there. But I don't think my motion, we needed to do that, just to decide who would do it right away.
I was just looking at the drafted motion. There's a delegation in there.
Mr. Mayor, Council, you can either delegate the authority if you want to not have it come back, or you can just direct staff to come up with some language, or council can come up with some amendments at a later date. Thank you.
I would be one, and somebody else, how many people we need?
I'll do it, so we can work together on it.
Okay.
So for the record, then Jeff Drain, Janet?
Yep.
We'll work on that.
All right.
Any more discussion? If not, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Letter D, staff and consultant reports.
Do you need the summary publication? The second motion has to, so I'll do that. So I move to approve the 2020 fee schedule ordinance publication summary with the above changes.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Now, letter D, staff consultant reports. Dennis?
Yes, good evening. I have a number of items on here. Shouldn't take too long. The first item is the adoption of the Columbus Water Supply Plan. This is the potable water supply plan, different than the local surface water management plan that you previously approved. So this was, we had prepared this last fall, sent information in the packet to the DNR. They returned with comments. We addressed those comments, and then they kept telling us to look at their website, the MPAR site, to see if it was approved. Fair amount of time went by, ended up contacting them, and it had been approved quite a while ago. So this is just a formal adoption to approve the water supply plan, and there's a certificate of adoption that I would presume the city administrator would sign, since that's who the other documentation is addressed to. There are a number of comments from the DNR and from Met Council to the city to consider in the future as we grow and as more water usage occurs. When this was adopted, like Jim said, the city hadn't crossed that threshold of being a community service at that time, but
And this has been approved by them, by the DNR?
by the DNR,
So it's
correct.
just a matter of, so would someone like to make the motion, please, of adopting the Columbus Water Supply Plan?
Motion to approve the Columbus Water Supply Plan and direct the city administrator to complete the form required.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item was, or is, an easement for the Hornsby Street project from the DNR along Trunk Highway 97. A little bit of history. We had applied for one and received easement last year, this time. We had gotten soil boring information that showed muck depth down to 6 or 8 feet. Based on that information, we looked at the cross-sections and determined how much right-of-way we would need. When the contractor started the project, last fall, they got down to the bottom of the muck at 14 feet. Based on that new information, we looked at what the easements need to be. There was two options: put in steel sheeting and shoring and stay within the easement. That was going to be twice as expensive as doing the excavation and getting more easement. So last time around, Elizabeth was able to circumvent the DNR easement system, which can take up to 8 to 18 months, and got it done in 4 months. So hopefully that process would, we're not recreating the wheel this time, we're just adding on last time. So if you have a copy of the exhibit or not, Elizabeth has it up there. So this again is along Trunk Highway 97, which became part of the city's project when we received some cooperative agreement funds to do that piece along with Hornsby Street because of the signal going in. So the darker shaded is what we're looking for now. And we're going to also be getting some more soil borings in January hopefully when the swamp is frozen enough to drive a piece of equipment on it, just to verify the depth of the muck that's out there. But the easement we are asking for will cover a worst-case scenario. Engineers are sometimes accused of being overly conservative. Well, when we're not, sometimes site conditions make you go back and
Be conservative.
get something more than we had tried not to the first time around.
Yep.
There's a nominal fee but the first part was a half an acre, and that was
Just under 2,000.
32,000, so
Well,
now
the
we're at,
application fee's $2,000, so.
and now we're looking at needing about a fifth of an acre more, so proportionally. And that'd be part of the project cost that's part of. So at this time, we're looking for authorization. There's a resolution to approve the easement and authorize submitting the application packet to the DNR. I think at the time, there was a yellow highlighted area. I do have that application packet
It's on page 39.
included now as well.
The resolution would be 1935.
Make a motion to approve resolution 1935.
Is there a second?
I'll second for debate, I guess.
And is there discussion?
Is this costing something to get the extra?
There's a $2,000 application fee. I don't know if they'll waive it second time around.
It was on here that we signed up.
Did they waive it the first time?
No.
No, not the first time. And if they don't waive it the second time, it'll be part of the project cost or part of the,
I don't think I don't think I'm going to get that waived.
yeah.
But you think they'll agree to it? We're
To the-
hoping they'll agree to it.
Yes, I think they will.
Yeah?
The fee was $2,000. The easement was $1,961 when I got the bill first time around.
And that's to the DNR. They're giving the permits?
You have to go through the DNR.
Part of the wildlife management
I was going to say they own the land.
property. And it has to go all the way up through the DNR chain because it was federal money that was used to acquire the wildlife management area in the first place.
Else? Shelley, anything? Let's call for a vote.
Aye.
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 All right.
The next item is actually two items. This is regarding the Thurnbeck Preserve development. The first item, there's two letter of credits on the first phase of the development. One for the development itself, the street improvements, the grading, the storm improvements. We also had received or requested and received a letter of credit to protect Furman Street when they were hauling sand out of the southerly pond after the street was paved. That work has ceased about a year ago. We inspected the street. It's in decent condition. So we're recommending release of the letter of credit that protected Furman Street. There still is a letter of credit on the development because there's still some punch list items that are remaining.
Make a motion to move to approve the reduction in the letter of credit by $459,965, with the new letter of credit to be the amount of $748,735, as indicated in engineer's memo dated 12/27/19.
Second.
That would actually be for the second one, but
Yeah, as I said,
sorry.
it makes sense.
Maybe I got them backwards. That's the way they were on the agenda, but
All right. So much for me reading this. Even the-
you can keep that one, and I'll just explain that one briefly. So that's for the second edition?
Didn't make sense. It was going up, so I didn't get that.
Yeah, that's the second edition that where all the new development, where all the grading is going on. So that one, they've completed a lot of the work, and they're just asking for a reduction for the work that's been done to date. And that's one we're recommending reduce by the amounts you just read. If you
By
want
the
to,
459.
if you want to address that one with your motion, we can continue on that one.
All right. Read it again then?
Sure, start over.
Move to approve a reduction in the letter of credit by $459,965, with the new letter of credit to be in the amount of $748,735, as indicated in engineer's memo dated 12/27/19.
Second.
Any more discussion on the topic? If not, call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
And then if you'd like to address the first one regarding Furman Street.
Move to approve the credit release in the amount
It's $10,000.
$10,000, indicated in engineer's memo dated 12/27 on Furman Street project.
Second, anyone?
Second.
Oh, any discussion? Call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
The next item, we put together a tentative schedule for your benefit to look at for Hornsby Street South. And we touched on this at the last work session and council meeting. So if you'd like to look at the schedule to get the project constructed in 2020, that's a rough time frame. One thing I wanted to note, we put down a line for property acquisition with an asterisk, and that's only if we need to go outside the right-of-way for stormwater treatment for the watershed district, which we don't know yet at this time. We're hoping we can take care of it within the right-of-way. So you can either just take that as information, or if you want to proceed with approving or authorizing surveying or engineering services.
The mayor thinks I don't think we need a motion on that.
Well, it kind of ties into the budget discussion that we still have to have, so I would say we just take it as information for now.
Shelley, anyone have a problem with that? All right. Denny?
No problem.
Okay, and the last item was a small change order for the SCADA project and a small amendment for engineering fees related to that. So a little bit of background in the memo. There's two different contractors. There's EIM, which was the electrical contractor for the Ziegler tank electrical modifications, and then In Control for the SCADA system. If you recall, we had a small negative change order savings on the electrical project, and there's about $2,208.25 as a change order for some additional items on the SCADA system that we've been working with staff to make the system what they want. So we're looking for a motion to approve the change order number 2 with In Control for $2,208.25. And with some of the additional programming, we've had, again, some minor engineering increases, looking to increase the budget from 33,000 to 36. And if it goes over 36, we'll eat that.
All right, I'll make a motion to move the SCADA project change order for the additional amount of $2,208.25 as presented in the engineer's memo dated 12/19/19.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, any further discussion?
And you said it was gonna go up to how much before you guys
36.
ate it?
Yeah,
Put
it's,
that figure in there?
the original budget was 33. We've already expended some with some of the work being done, but we just want to cap it at 36.
And we'll cap it at 36,000.
$36,000.
You can do one or two motions, or however whatever's proper. Probably separate.
Separate?
Separate? All right, skip that last part.
All right, is there a second? Yeah, we had a second.
Seconded it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries.
$3,600?
$36,000.
36,000 is the total, and an increase of 3,000. Previous amount was 33.
Okay.
A lot of numbers flying around.
Here. You're not-
I'm a little lost on this 3,600, because I'm like, I'm reading the contract amount, the contract amount is for 85,000. So that's why I'm just confused what this cap is.
Well, that's the engineering fees.
Oh, so you're not talking about the contract?
I'm not talking about either
The
contractor.
contract, okay.
Yeah. One had a deduct, one has a small increase for
Okay.
the two contractors.
Okay.
All right, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
All right,
So we'll make that motion?
so now you're going to make,
I'm gonna make it up to 36,000 cap for engineering costs for that two projects. I don't know the names of the projects, but,
Ziegler Electrical and SCADA.
okay.
got all that, Jess? And a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? If not, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That's it?
Go ahead.
All right. Number 11, attorney report.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you've got a brief memo in your packet. At the last council meeting, there was some discussion, and we were directed to explain the process for changing the mayor's term from 2 to 4 years. The existing term was set in 2006 when the city was incorporated by law. The city council does have the authority to change that term from 2 to 4 years, but it would not affect the current term, and it would only affect a term that commences in the same year if it is adopted at least 4 weeks prior to close of filing for the office. So I think that would be, I think close of filing is July, so it would need to be adopted sometime in June, and we can clear up those dates if so directed.
I just thought that the mayor's term, 2 years, it's too much campaigning. Talk about time for the city administrator. He's coming up here trying to get up to speed and stuff. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me. Nobody's ever approached me to increase the terms. I just thought on my own that it should be increased to 4 years. More cities are actually 2 years and 4 years, but that's probably just because they don't change it. Supposed to go through the hassle changing it, I don't know. That's some reason. That's why I brought it up. Anybody got anything to add to it? Subtract?
I voted no on this, having it checked out for one reason. That little information, attorney charged us for that. That wasn't free from the attorney. And roughly, anybody have any idea roughly how much it was? It was over 500, wasn't it?
Give or take,
Yeah.
2 hours.
Because every
Bill-
time we
I
ask,
think Bill told them
every
it was
time
2
we
hours.
ask him or Dennis to do something, there's a charge on it.
I called Lehman Associates, I could have gave the same information, so we need to be careful when we ask the attorney to do things, you're right.
Yeah.
But I said I got the same information, when it started and how to change it, and
Yeah, but I'm trying to tell you that this information that the lawyer gave us cost us plus $500.
okay, now we need to take this information and do something with it. So, either change the terms or leave the terms the way they are.
I'd like to make a motion to leave the terms as where they stand now.
Anybody want to second that?
Is there a process to throw this back to the citizens to decide? I mean, because the protection to the citizens is that you, by having it at 2 years, is that you can vote out a majority of the council if you're not happy with what they're doing, which is how we all ended up here. So I agree with you, Jeff, the 2-year term is really, I mean, you're just getting up to speed and you're having to start all over again campaigning, which is hard. But I also feel strongly that that's a protection for our citizens that I don't really want to take away without them directing us that they would want us to. And so I don't know how you would go about that, but, I mean, I would be in line with Denny's motion unless there was a way to throw it back to the citizens to decide.
Could that be put on the ballot as a question on the ballot?
Statutorily, the decision is up to the council. So the protection for the citizens, I suppose, in theory, is, as you said, their ability to elect someone new if they don't like your decision. And of course, the protection is that this wouldn't affect the current term, so it would only impact the subsequent terms.
I suppose there's a way you could try to do a survey or ask the question and get feedback.
And it is required to be an ordinance, so you would have a public hearing, so there would be an opportunity for the public to weigh in, and you could have as many listening sessions as you'd like.
Would you feel differently about it if you went through that process?
No, because you do a survey, I'm strong that it should stay the way it is.
For me, this is my last year coming up here, and doesn't matter one way or another, so I'm not going to push it at all. It isn't a thought I had for a couple of years, actually, for more than 1 year. So I'd bring it out to before I'm off the board here. So we don't need to spend any more money on it, that's for sure. If nobody wants to make a decision ourselves up here, then we can just move on.
What do you think, Shelley?
Well, if we make a motion and you have to
draft an ordinance.
draft the ordinance before we have the meeting with the public. I mean, I was trying to think of a way to get the public's opinion without having to commit ourselves at that point, you know? If you draft the ordinance, you're already spending money too, so.
Yeah. I was just saying, right, in order to do the public hearing, you'd have to draft the ordinance, and you have to spend money to do that, to go down that
You
road.
can't have a public hearing without an ordinance being involved?
That's what the public hearing is about, and then you have to put the public on notice of what you're doing. So you have to have, they have to be able to read it, so it has to already be drafted.
Suppose you could have like a neighborhood meeting just to get informal feedback, like if people came with torches and said, heck no, we'd
I
pretty
mean,
much
that's what
know
I
what
would
this
like to know,
would-
because, I mean, you know, you're saying you don't want it, and you didn't give any particular reason, and for me, I'd like to explore the possibility, but I don't, like you said, I don't want to spend any money on it, I just want to know what people would like to have.
The reason
I know that it's a big pain to
The reason
go
I
out and
like,
campaign.
the reason I like to stay the way it is simply, like Janet was saying, it would, the public a chance to clean the council out. Mayor and 2 council members to start over again every 2 years.
Well, we don't have to make any decisions tonight, correct?
No, it was just for information.
I get a motion on table, so they have to say no or yes. We get somebody, if nobody says yes, then it just dies.
We'll let it die then, for now.
I don't want it to die, I'd like to explore it, I'd like to explore it with the public.
All right. Your motion died then? No second?
Nobody seconds it, it dies. My motion does.
And we don't need a motion to just explore it further, do we?
No?
No,
Well, direction, if you want the staff to do anything.
not at this time, I wouldn't think.
After you get down to the senior center. can become an explorer
Has to be done though, if we want to have it effective.
for June of this year. All right. Anything else? Or is that your only topic?
That's it.
That's it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. Number 12, mayor and city council members report. Denny?
I have nothing to report.
I have something for the branding committee. We are having a Columbus meeting, an event at the track, and you have a copy of a revised flyer that we want to send out, and this was one of the things that we were going to hand out to people to actually take to some of the businesses. There's some typos in it, and there's some things that we want to make changes at, but if you have anything that's glaringly that you want to change, you know, you can let me know. The original was more focused on kind of a social hour, and this time we've kind of turned around and made it like a networking event between the businesses so that it doesn't look like we're running just a social event.
I'd like to see somebody's phone number on it instead of a bunch of X's.
Right, and I am going to put my phone number on it. Yeah. We were discussing whether we should have it at the city hall here. I mean, there's 66 businesses. I'm sure they're all going to be just like clamoring on the phone, asking us questions. But I don't want to impact Jessica's job either, so just have them call me.
And then how do they get this information? Those 66 businesses? Is this mailed to them?
They're gonna,
Yeah, they'll go out in the Columbus online newsletter. Go out to most of them. Otherwise, we'll put it, well, I don't think we were going to put it on our website because we wanted it to just be a select few. So I think the idea was the newsletter would go to their email, and then there would be personal connections with the city council and anybody that they know or would like to meet, inviting them.
All right.
and then we did want some personal connections with people from the council going out, at least talking to a majority of the people, because we'd really liked, we were told that from people that are in marketing that, you know, you should get like a 10% return. Well, you know, that's 6.5 people show up, which is not great, you know, so we're hoping to kind of push it hard at least this first time and have some personal contact. So I know I'll be taking some of the names and hoping that some of the other people that if you've got, you know, like a personal connection with some of the businesses, maybe split up the list of businesses to tell them, you know, hey, we'd really like you to come to this and connect. What we're trying to do, really, I mean, this was kind of a collaboration in the group, but what I wanted out of it was I wanted information on how they feel about the branding situation with the businesses. But I also just think that it's an opportunity for them to talk among each other and then find out who wants to do this. I mean, there's going to be some people that, you know, branding doesn't mean very much to. And then there are other businesses that will. So we're trying to find some brand champions that will come in and say, yeah, this is what I'd like to see Columbus known for, or this is what I'm willing to, what kind of work I'm willing to put into it, so. Anyway,
So Shelley, looking at that, it says, please join us for the first of many. So is this more of like a series? Because I was thinking maybe it should say, please join us for the first in a series of 2020 Columbus events. Only because I think when people think, I don't know, many didn't really mean something to me,
Right.
but a series means something to me, like, oh, you're going to have 2 or 3 of these.
Yeah.
And like, I'd like to know more,
Yeah.
or I'd like to do more.
and they may not, you know, the other thing is, if you say many, it's like, oh, am I going to be, you know, trapped into something that I don't want to be trapped into, so.
Yeah, I don't know, many just didn't
I get
work
you.
for me.
Yep. And then we are changing it, hosted by the Columbus Economic Development Authority and the Columbus Branding Committee instead of the council. And there's a typo on the initiative, City of Columbus rather than Columbus. And I think it helped define the Columbus brand rather than our brand, because I don't know that our means anything. And then I'm going to have my name and number on it if they have any questions. I don't think there's going to be many questions. They're going to come or they're not going to come. Yeah.
Do you want them to call you, or do you want them to email you?
Well, that's a problem. I mean, I had thought about having them call me because with the email, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to use my personal or just go through the,
You can use your council email
use the
for it.
council. And then maybe I can do that. Probably call is not good, because if they text me, they ain't gonna get hold of me. So I will put email. That's all I have.
Anybody else have anything to add? So like at our next meeting, we're gonna have to take our lists and divide up, pick out people we're gonna contact. This will be finished off.
Do we think maybe we might want to do it even before our next meeting? I don't know, depends on,
I have to, so if I get an updated list, I have the list from about a year ago. I don't know how much it may have changed. But in order for me to get an updated list, I have to make a request through the county to merge the two files. So basically, the file that lists all of the addresses and what type of, if it's a resident or a business or government or whatever at that address. And then they cross-reference that with the property tax to get the names. So I'd have to make that request for them to do that, which I believe cost, at least last year, cost $25. So I don't know, Jessica, if you feel like, I mean, I can give you what I have, and you can tell me whether you think it's probably more up-to-date than your list, which is a couple years old.
Yeah, I don't think my list is, I think it's pretty comprehensive. We can compare. I don't know if it would be worth the time and money to do that, because I feel like it's pretty
Okay.
darn close.
So I'll send what I have to Jessica so you can take a look
Yeah.
at it, and then we can just, maybe just work off of that.
So what's the line, because I think even Jesse and I talked about this, it's like, okay, so is Columbus and this branding just for businesses? In other words, you're in the business district, you run a business. Because then we have a whole host of home-based businesses. And really, when Justin and I we were looking at the list, we were like, okay, so who's included here? Because if you just say just the businesses in the business district, okay, that's a very finite list. We pretty much know that list, you know, and yes, we can tweak it and we know the names. But then if you introduce all the home-based businesses, now that's a whole different group, you know what I mean, group. And we weren't quite sure, is this for everyone? Is it just for one? Is it just for another? Are you gonna do different forums for that? Or, I mean,
no,
how would that work?
this is just to start out and figure out where we're going. We've already got the questionnaire that we're gonna be sending out to people and that sort of thing. It's a multifaceted thing. So the business part, this part, the Columbus and the branding is just part of the business part. We're not, you know, trying to get to home-based businesses or, you know.
Okay, so, and that clears it up, because there's a bright line there.
No, I know.
You know what I mean, between home-based businesses and then the business districts, because that will be a much simpler list to put through, because you're right.
Yeah, and
There's
see,
60
the idea about branding is that you want Columbus to represent something to outside people, so then they might bring in business to, you know, and that's not gonna help necessarily the home-based businesses at this point, you know. We may eventually, you know, somebody might wanna come on board, but it'll probably be through the home-based business being a resident and saying, gee, I really like this branding thing I'm seeing once we get on the internet and that sort of thing. But right now, no, this is just all preliminary, and we were just trying to get hold of businesses.
Okay. Yeah, that's a much simpler list.
Yep.
Anything else, Billy? I have just a couple things to say. Happy New Year coming up, everybody. We all survived Christmas, ice storm, snowstorm, Christmas. 2 more days and it'll be 2020. Thank everyone for I would like to thank everyone for all the hard work we've done and all the hard work we're gonna do coming up. So, everybody get your new calendars ready. We're starting 2020. And Jim, anything more?
We've been talking about road weight signs. As Denny brought up at one point, he thought 26,000 pounds was the number. I've done a bunch of legwork, and that seems to be think the sign should read, well, we have the no truck sign, and then it should just say over 26,000 GVW. Okay. So that basically means anything over 26,000 pounds gets you most commercial vehicles, which I think is our intent. There are some commercial vehicles that are less than that. I don't know how you wipe everybody out to make sure that it's only residential, not commercial, but that gets rid of, I think, what our intention was in the beginning.
Sounds good to me, Denny?
Oh, sounds good to me. I just picked the number 27, 26, because it's,
Well, so 26, so you
26.
can rent a vehicle at 26,000 pounds and you can drive it with a normal driver's
Right, yeah,
license.
no
Once you go
CDLs, yeah.
26,00001.
Need a
then you get
CDL,
commercial.
yeah.
And I think that was our intent. So I think that's the easiest path.
That'll be a simple ordinance amendment. We'll add a new definition.
Do we need to,
We'll bring it back to the, I don't know, it'll be the next meeting, but we'll bring it back to the meeting in January.
perfect. Okay, that's all I have.
What does your single axle dump truck weigh?
Well, we're exempt.
I know, but what does it weigh?
Looked at it too. 40? I don't remember off the top of my head, 40,000.
40,000, a single axle?
It might be 43, actually.
Oh, that's right, it's close enough.
Right.
Okay,
But, I mean, I did a little bit of legwork, and, you know, an empty dump truck, or an empty cement truck weighs 34,000, but it doesn't matter, it's what they're licensed for. So if they're licensed for 54,000, whether they're loaded or empty, that's the number.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that covers the vast majority of things. So there's maybe small contractor trucks that might be 21,000 pounds, but, I mean, they're so far and in between that it's, I don't know that we need to worry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Weighs a lot more than a bike.
Public Information Coordinator's Report.
I have no report.
City Administrator?
No report.
Oh, my.
Nothing at all?
Oh,
Happy New
my.
Year.
All right,
We
2020.
feel neglected.
2020. Oh, well, we're down to letter E, which is a city council workshop on January 22nd, 2020, 4 PM to 6 PM. The planning commission is on the 15th at 7 PM. And the full calendar is on the last page, page 57. Anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
We're
with the
adjourned.
record.